Okay, the time is 11:29 a.m. in the morning, Friday, October 11th, 2024. So I'm gonna put the sound machine on. I'm gonna try not to have to plug my ears, but it gets really loud here, so we'll just see what happens. I'm allowed to say this. I'm just gonna say it. So last night after I went and smelled all the dead bodies in the hallway, stuffed all over the stairs, just fucking whore and gore, and I put I testified to this on the prior video. I put my sound machine on so I just didn't hear any more cackling and partying and wicked women just trying to draw attention to themselves around here and partying. It's just so perverse here, and endless like a sea, an ocean, one after the next, every few seconds, of motorcycles that came in packs, or one would drive and then after one really loud, it'd be one or the other, packs of motorcycles, like every few seconds. Or one would just come by itself, rev, on and on, and this went hours and hours, okay? And then I finally went out there. It was after, it was around 9 to 10, they went out there. I went to bed around 10 because I had to blast my sound machine just to do it. Okay, so along with the motorcycles and the cackling, hackling, really sick women, there was always like muscle cars, Mustangs with really loud mufflers. Just, you name it, they brought it to 15th. And they were driving like a car show, like an ocean, just one after the next. I have never been anywhere like this in my life or seen anything like this in my life. But I have here in my country. I have seen it in the capital of the United States. So I had to put the sound machine on. There was no way I was gonna like sleep. They're gonna keep waking me up. I've tried. You'll try to go to sleep, because you're tired, and you'll be about there to REM, and then another really loud muffler will wake you up, or there'll be some perverse, sick human being out there. Last night it was a lot of women walking down doing that, going ha ha ha, and there's just, and your house you're in is packed with dead bodies, packed. And I've described the smell, so I'm going to save having to always describe it because it's so traumatizing to smell that I gotta, every time, dude, it's just part of the process. Every time I smell a dead body in here, I have to come back in here where there are none, where the air is fresh, and I have to breathe about at least 6 times through my nostrils, and I will give an example right now. I have to decompress. I put my feet on the ground and I keep breathing through my nostrils. It's the only way I can cope with this. The dead bodies are that horrific. And so it takes a good 6 to 10 rounds, of breaths. And then I'm not so conscious that my feet are on the ground. Like, I'm scared. Your body's stiff. You're freaked out. I've never not been terrified by the dead bodies. I'm not used to it. I don't learn to coexist with that. It's just not ever going to happen. It terrifies me, and it's a horrific thing to fucking witness and experience. Not missing a beat, literally every last time. With every dead body, I've gone through this for years. They don't stop killing people around here, killing people in this house, and stuffing the bodies everywhere. There's stuffed the bodies fucking everywhere here. So I come in, and I'm conscious for the first 6 to 5 breaths. I tell myself, after I exhale, I say to myself, there's no dead bodies in here, Heidi. And then I breathe again. I exhale. You're not smelling that in your room, Heidi. I have to say it out loud. It's the only way I can calm myself down. And then I start to calm down. You start to calm slowly down. And you forget what you just fucking smelled in your house. Because you're not smelling it, in your room. You let your body and your brain decompress. You did some rhythmic breathing. It's serious fucking business here. All those times I filmed that there was dead bodies, I had to do that off camera. I have to collect myself. I'm not some superwoman in here, Wonder Woman, that can just run around with corpses that foul, that smell that bad, that stink, that rancid, without having to decompress and calm down at some point. It's never been a day. I just don't always film it, talk about it, so on and so forth. It's been really terrifying in here, and it's still going on and on and on, and I know that. Okay, so after I did that, after I calmed down, put my sound machine on, laid back down, got my cover, tried to snuggle in like a little kid into my little bed and just pray for my life. I do. I pray for my life in here. You would too. I couldn't hear the cackling laughing. I couldn't hear all the endless sea and ocean of muffler after muffler. It's really frightening how they rev. It's really aggressive. It's really, really, really scary here. And it seems like they're circling the compound. I tend to think they are. I'm pretty sure they are. So I went into my REM state. The sound machine was blasting, but at least it was a continuous. It's this sound. It was way louder. I mean, you could understand with the revving motorcycles and shrieking, laughing, like it fucking echoes for blocks. But they're right outside your window, the females. They weren't very far, so I really had to turn this on rather loud. But I finally got it to get out of my room so I could fall asleep. And this is just a steady, long, just straight noise, like a AC, air conditioner, or something, So I did fall asleep. And you're so tired, trust me, you would. And I fell asleep. But right before I went to REM, this is what I saw. And God says to share it. I saw 5 white guys. They could be from anywhere. They looked like they were out of a penitentiary. They look like criminals. Yeah. They look like, you know what they look like to me? This is what they look like. The creep men in the Ukrainian military that the U.S. press kept putting on the newspaper and taking pictures of them and trying to pass them off as nice Ukrainian guys that we need to send billions of dollars of weapons and money to. It's Eastern European mob is what it is. And when I said I wouldn't even ride share in an Uber with a guy like that, I meant it. I don't know what the fuck people are thinking in the United States. Those kind of guys are dangerous. For my own safety, and this is Heidi you're talking to, you've heard my life story, I wouldn't get anywhere near a guy like that, dude. I've never talked to guys like that. I don't want anything to do with a guy like that. So that's what I thought I saw. They all had the short hair. They look like those guys in the fucking paper. They've changed the way they look, the Ukrainian military. They put them now, those same guys are wearing soldier uniforms, but they still have that short haircut. It's not quite a standard military quote unquote jarhead. It's not. They don't do that in Ukraine. They still have that stylish, short style, hip and cool haircut, which is questionable because you wonder about everything with the military at that point. But they got them dressed up like soldiers, so you can't really see how creepy these dudes are. But when the war first started in Ukraine, that's the good Russian military that did that. Remember, there's the Putin military, and then there's the guys that saved my life in here, the GRU. I will always remember who saved my life in here. I'm very clear that there's 2 Russian militaries. Oh, without any doubt, I know that. All right. So when the good guys attacked Ukraine, you can see why now. Because they're neo-Nazis and they ran newspaper articles about how the Ukrainian military are in your face, in the press, white supremacist military, and we were still sending them weapons. Why are we sending any Nazi mind comp, white supremacist military our U.S. weapons? Well, we are, and no one asks any questions in this country, no. I do. I ask them. You all know I do. It's Heidi you're talking to. Well, you're not talking to me, but Heidi's talking to you on the YouTube. Okay. So that's what I saw when I was about to fall asleep into REM. That's what I thought I saw. These guys could have been from the U.S. penitentiary. Okay, they could have been right out of the pen in the United States. But they were obvious violent offenders. You wouldn't be surprised if you saw these 5 guys walking down the street and you heard they had done like 15 years for a really violent offense. You would not be surprised, okay? You would think, yeah, probably. Yeah, and these type of guys you don't want to jump in a car with. Yeah, let's go ride share. I'm so glad you picked me up at my house. This fucking creep knows where I live. I don't ride share for a lot of reasons, unless I'm really, really poor, which the United States made me really poor. They wouldn't give me a job. Nobody would ever fucking hire me. Oh, I'll never forget that. I couldn't believe what they were doing in the U.S. I couldn't get a job at any restaurant on the planet. They just wouldn't hire me. I mean, a restaurant, that's my entire life, like work was from 14 years old till I was like 30. Well, the 2 years, we know about the 2 years where I was a mess. So let's say 20, how old was I, 27? That's the last time I held a kitchen job, a kitchen chef, sauté chef, all of it. I did it all. And these restaurants in the United States would tell me I wasn't qualified, not qualified for even dishwashing. And I knew there was something wrong at that point. Like, I'm getting refused work. I was in tears. I was devastated. I couldn't get a job to support myself. Nothing, absolutely nothing. I applied to be a maid. I applied for a few maid janitorial. A few, no, it was a lot. I applied for like all kinds of janitorial. I kept going down in the skills, and still I would get not qualified or whatever. Mostly it was not qualified. It was always a very standard not qualified. But there was other rejections I got along the way. I knew something was definitely going on with that. Like, I was definitely not getting work. I couldn't tell you why. I still don't know why people did that. But I couldn't get a janitor job, a dishwashing job, a cook job. I couldn't get anything, dude. And I had the 4.0 and I'm a college graduate. Well, not a bachelor's because of Donald Trump and Joe Biden. I should have gotten a bachelor's, and I plan to get a bachelor's when I'm finally free from this terror cell. I'm going to finish it. I have every right to finish my college higher education. And I'm going to get it in economics. Everyone knows this. This is Heidi's talking to you. Everybody knows my life story, and even when I'm going to finish my bachelor's in economics. Because I'm good at math, and Jesus told me to. He says, yeah, I want you to. It was in meditation, but I don't mess with it. Take Econ 1, take Econ 2, don't even debate it. It's not up for discussion, just get it done. And I make God happy, and this is what I need to do. So that's what I'm doing when I finally get out of here. Okay, sticking to point at hand. We're at 14 minutes. So I finally fell asleep into REM, all right? And right before I fell asleep into REM, I saw these 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. 5 gringo men. 5 white men. They looked like they'd done prison time for violent offender. They all had that short hair, styly, hip, cool, short hair guy. They all had salt and pepper hair. They were like 35 to my age, not any older than my age, and not any younger than 35. 2 of them were wearing thinner leather jackets, like styly, hip, cool leather jackets, bomber style, you know, nothing with a big label. It was just plain black, nothing too flashy, but 2 of them were wearing that. The other 2 were just walking in with t-shirt. They had kind of less expensive looking clothes on. Nobody dressed real flashy. And they all walked into this person's house. One of them was really tall. He had the same hair, you know, this short, cool, hip guy looking hair, salt and pepper. He was like 6'4". The guy was abnormally tall. You definitely see him. You could definitely ID him again. Like, he's so tall, okay? He's so tall, like 6'3". Like, dude, I'm talking basketball. Very tall guy, very tall white guy. They all had the sports clothes, kind of like they came out of a cast of Sopranos, but not expensive. The clothes were inexpensive looking. Okay, so they walked into this person's house. The time of day they walked in was like right before it got dark. So it was still daylight. And they had definitely people covering them outside somewhere. Because they all walked in, and they walked in through the front door, or a very, very visible door. That to me, while I was in REM, was a front door. And they headed straight through the dining room, which was to your right, where they were coming the direction, and the living room, which was to their left. And straight ahead of them was this person's bedroom. And straight ahead of them in the bedroom was a dead body. And it was laying right by the bed. It was tucked almost under the bed, but right by the bed. And you could see the feet, like it's at a city morgue. It was wearing shoes. The dead body still had shoes on. And it's like, you know how in the movies with the morgue, they're laying straight up with the feet and the toe tag? So that was basically the position of the dead body. And it was right by the bed. Okay, now get this. The window was like 10 feet, 15 feet away from that corpse. And the window had the sheer chiffon. And the window was still open. So somebody had their cover, dude. You could walk up to that house and stick your face, look through that sheer chiffon, and see a fucking dead body tucked by the bed. If you wanted. But there was obviously somebody around the perimeter of the house making sure that didn't happen. That had these creeps back. And these guys walked right into the house and walked right up to that body. And the reason why they were wearing those kind of less expensive clothes is because they did something disgusting to that fucking body in that house. They disappeared, quote unquote, that person. That person still had all their clothes on. Someone had come in or somehow had killed them. And they were waiting for these thugs to show up. When I saw these thugs, that's what I saw at first. I saw them all walking. I thought, oh my God, this is muscle. This is really, really creepy fucking muscle thugs. I know the women in Washington, D.C., oh, you know, after long enough living here, that's why they laugh. They're looking for guys like that. The women that case this house that are always walking by, and the prostitutes here in this town, want boyfriends like this. They want boyfriends like what I just described. They want a psychopath that chops up bodies. Well, obviously they don't care here, dude. Their cops fucking protect this fucking place. I know they do that shit here. Okay, I'm at 20 minutes. Some of this I can't do a 14-minute. It's impossible. It is, okay? So these guys walk straight up to that body, and then everything cut out. My vision, if you want to call it that, whatever this is, I do, ended. So there was a body tucked nice like a city morgue right by the edge of the bed, which was 15 feet from the window that had chiffon. It was still daylight, some sort of point of daytime. These guys walked in. I described the house. Now, there's one last thing. The house had clutter. The person wasn't very organized. They had stuff everywhere. They weren't a hoarder. Excuse me. It wasn't hoarding, nothing like that. It's just a really cluttery person. And they were your average middle-class income. The house was not affluent. It didn't have a lot of flashy wealth. But the person was not poor. Is your average middle-class income of a person who has a savings and a retirement fund, so on and so forth. They're just your average middle-class income person who got caught up in something very, very, very bad with very bad people. This person cannot be a good person themselves. No, I doubt this at all. And the mob killed another mobster is basically what just happened with what I saw. That's what I determined. The mob killed another mobster. That's the mobster's house I described. There's not a lot of flashy anything. They have a lot of clutter. It's all through the dining room. The table had clutter on it. All through the living room clutter. Just stuff on the tables. Middle class income. They definitely had money. They had a big old house with furniture. Lots of stuff in it. They had a bedroom. The bedroom had a wooden post. Had a headboard, a footboard, wooden. It was wooden. There's a lot of wood in this person's house. They decorated with wood. It was middle class, not flashy. They decorated their house like that. The dining room and the living room, the lights were off. The only light coming into that house was from the daylight itself, and that light was coming in from the bedroom window where they stashed that body, right in front of the fucking window. It's berserk to me, but that's where it was. 10 feet from the window. So you walk up, these dudes walked right up to the body, and everyone could see them if they were looking through the sheer chiffon drape. There was drapes, but then they had the sheer chiffon that was permanently over the window. You know what I mean? Okay, so I saw all this. And then this is what God said to me. Archangel Michael is I'm trying to describe to you my creator guides me. So I'm almost to REM. I saw all this, and then by the time those creeps got to the corpse that was stuffed by the bed, I stopped seeing everything. And he said, they're furious. This is what he said. They're furious beyond belief at this civil courthouse, calling up the communists from the courthouse and telling the communists they're drug addicts. That is verbatim what he said. So these really evil white guys and whoever they work for are furious at the Washington, D.C. courthouse for calling up the communists and telling the communists they are addicts, drug addicts. I don't know what to make of this. Communist? Well, that's me. They called and told me that. Am I a communist? And then I fell asleep. I'm like, today thinking, am I a communist? I haven't taken political theory. I have no education on political theories. I have slight education on Marxism. I've taken a college class or two where it came up in my study books, but not enough to say I can declare any sort of political ideology. I can't. I can't say I'm really a capitalist. But so I don't know what to make of this. I haven't even taken Econ 1 and 2. And to be a true Marxist communist, to be a true capitalist, or to be a true communist, you have to know something about economics. I know that much because I did go to college, okay? So I can't tell you what I really am. I got to get a little more study work done. And then I can give you an educated statement on what I declare I am, and self-identify as a communist or a capitalist, but I just don't. I cannot, with an educated basis, tell you, yes, I'm a capitalist. I don't know enough about it to claim anything, okay? But that's what God said. That's what my Creator said. That's what Archangel Michael said. They're furious at the civil courthouse for calling up the communists and telling them they're drug addicts. All right, goodbye.